in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm sorry. I know what Brian was talking about, that press conference in Madison, Wisconsin, I should say, where the dude, some angry jerk, first of all, how the hell does he get into police headquarters? You know, if you haven't learned by now, you're not supposed to let just anybody in a police headquarters for a press conference. You know, it's one thing if you want to report a crime, all right, great. But you can't just go roaming around the joint. That's how Lee Harvey Oswald got shot by Jack Ruby. Oh, yeah, him. Yeah, let him on in. How did that happen? All right, so look, I've seen, maybe because I've been to war, you know, I've been to Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan, especially Iraq. I've seen a few things, and every time I look at this video, or I'm told that the video is about to be shown on social media, it says, "Do not watch, disturbing." And I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to watch it anyway. And it ain't that disturbing. It just isn't. And 4 guys, you don't actually, you know, I've seen people shot, and I've seen people shot online. This doesn't really look that bad. I'm not saying he wasn't shot, but I'm saying also he looked like he was trying to grab their taser. He was armed with a knife. This is kind of what you get. A knife is a deadly weapon, and you don't have to fire it. You just cut somebody with it, and they can bleed out very, very quickly. So this is a totally justified shooting. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's even close. Madison, Wisconsin, all hell is breaking out up there because of this thing. And Black Lives Matter, I guess the people in the streets now, a lot of the people in the streets now, 6 years ago, some of them were too young to enjoy the fun, right? Let's say you're 19 years old right now out on the streets. Well, back then you were only 13, okay? So you missed all the fun. Now you're out there in full swing. Maybe you were in 7th grade. Now you're in college. And you can go out and have some fun. Because remember this, engaging in a riot is fun. All right? It's also sometimes profitable if there's some looting involved. So let's hear the shooting. Let's hear the infamous Madison, Wisconsin shooting that ain't so infamous in my book. Go ahead, Carlos, please. Okay. The guy stopped resisting. The guy stopped threatening them with the knife. It's justified. It's justified. It's justified. So, the police put some information out. And this crazy person shows up in the middle of the press conference. Kind of happens sometimes, you know? And you guys are the cops. You're pretty well positioned to maintain order in your own press conference. But they let this dude just walk up to the gosh damn microphone. Something tells me, quite frankly, if this person had been Caucasian, they would not have allowed this to happen. But since he happens to be a person of color, they give him a little bit of a wide berth. Wouldn't want to appear to be racist, you know? All right, you ready with that? This is one hell of a press conference. Some dude decides his voice is more important than anybody else's. Go ahead, Carlos.
You're going to say the same thing you all say every time a black body gets shot down in this city. This is a corrupt city. That's right. Have no fear. The anti-Zionist is here. You understand me? You won't be able to talk today because I'm going to keep talking because I was born to talk my talk and walk my walk too. I told these young people back here on our way here that we have the power. Not that badge, not that weapon. We have the power. The city of Madison is corrupt. From the DA to the what's the name of this? the Department of Independent Monitoring. We don't want any of that talk. You've given us this speech with "you'll deliver justice." Oh, we've seen the cameras. We've seen it was a knife in this young man's hand. We don't want to hear that today. We didn't want to hear it when they put their neck on George Floyd's neck. Their foot on George Floyd's neck, and we don't want to hear it today. What do you have to say about that? Oh, you don't get to talk, I said.
Right.
Go ahead.
Enough is enough.
I'll step
Take
aside.
that
That's
badge off,
right.
you agree just
Give me
like
this
we
microphone then. Excuse me. That's right. My name is Carlos Dixon. I represent APTAP. All power to all people. Zero power to
All power to all people.
Speak
it.
Power to colonialism. What you are doing right now in this city is continuing the disgusting nature of colonialism, the disgusting nature of imperialism. Look up the definition of imperialism.
Has this guy ever been to Colonial Williamsburg?
Which means
It's great down there. All right, shut up. Shut up. Now, it's one thing for the local radical to show up at the press conference. But I'm looking at these other videos, and some of them are pretty normal-looking people who just might be employed somewhere, you know? They look like they might have gotten a decent night's sleep. They might live in a domicile that they either rent or they own. I'm not sure about Mr. Anti-Zionist there. I think his situation is a little unsteady. But here's a lady. They stop her from driving her car in the middle of the intersection. And and then she says, "I'm going to join the protest. Please let me go home so I can change clothes and come down here." Right? This is like, you got to join the mob. You have to show that you're one of them for them to let you go by. And like kind of like the Stockholm Syndrome, if you ever heard of that one. Go ahead, Carlos, please. Surrounding her car, her red car. Listen up. Here they come.
He won't let me through. I kept saying, I want to go home so I can park. And I want to be part of this. I have 2 children.
I want to be part of this, she says.
What happened was wrong. I've seen the video. I drove through that intersection less than 5 minutes before it happened.
Why did he call you the C word?
Because I wanted to get through and he wouldn't.
She's got to explain herself because somebody called her the C word. He must have had a good reason, huh?
Parked my car.
All right, stop. Stop. Madison, Wisconsin, how about it? How about it? The crazy people are in control. And then at the bar scene, because it's a great big college town. And college towns, if they're big enough, are actually kind of vibrant even during the summer. Right? They got stuff going on. They got summer session. They got summer sports. The football players show up 2 months early. That always gave me the heebie-jeebies, having to play football in the summer. Oh, my gosh. You know, training camp and all that stuff they got to show up for. So they circle, like, various businesses, and they won't let anybody come in or out. Go ahead with the next one, if you don't mind, pal. I'm sorry, it sounds so old-fashioned now to me. Black Lives Matter.
That's in my chat right now.
What the hell? Black Lives Matter? How 2020 can you get? Nobody says that anymore. It seems so square in a way. All right, so there's stuff happening up there. A phony baloney. Oh, wait a second. Forgive me. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now I know why. It's a midterm. It's an election year, for crying out loud. Of course. Of course they're going to blow this thing up. 2026. Congressional. All right, communism isn't a winning message. These crazy idiots that they're electing all over the place, that's not going to help. However, making white liberals and some independents feel self-conscious about race, that just might help the Democrats in 2026. I think we have figured it out. Once again, Hey, the other thing, Fauci is on Capitol Hill today. Fauci. What was his first name again? Dr. Fauci? Anthony Fauci. I kind of want to call him Frank Fauci. Little guy who's a terrible, terrible dude. Now, they're finding these little gems from throughout his career. He said something very spooky and very weird. You know, there are people who believe, and there's evidence to suggest, well, that they wanted this thing to happen, that they wanted the pandemic. And here is Fauci saying out loud that he wanted a gosh damn pandemic. This is sometime in late 2018, early 2019. And Fauci's sitting down for a guy who has a big job. He certainly did a lot of interviews, right? So this is before COVID. Okay, but listen to what this dude thinks about in his... this is what the guy wants. This is what the guy, aspires to. Listen to this, please.
So you have malaria, tuberculosis, HIV. These are things that are there. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I aspirationally hope to be able to encounter is the ability to rapidly respond to something brand new, whether it's a brand new pandemic or, as you mentioned, a brand new attack upon us deliberately by bioterror.
One more time, if you don't mind. One more time. That is one. Can you believe it? This is not AI. This is not. This is his own stupid mouth. Go ahead.
So you have malaria, tuberculosis, HIV. These are things that are there. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I aspirationally hope to be able to encounter is the ability to rapidly respond to something brand new, whether it's a brand new pandemic or, as you mentioned, a brand new attack upon us deliberately by bioterror.
Well, he got his wish, didn't he? Who the hell sits around wanting there to be a pandemic, for crying out loud? That is a sick man, but he has a pardon, doesn't he? He got himself a pardon on the way out. You know, it's not like he called up, Joe Biden called him up and said, hey, guess what? I gave you a pardon. He was actively lobbying for that bad boy. He wanted one. He wanted one bad, and he got one. Why? Guilty conscience. I wonder why. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. I can't even think about that woman on trial for killing all of her kids. Did you see that? This Clancy case, Lindsay Clancy. Yikes. This is it's best not to think about it, right? Best not to think about it. But she was on an awful lot of drugs, an awful lot of psychotropic drugs. Maybe there is a defense here. Those psychotropic drugs, you know, we never had school shootings before all these psychotropic drugs. Doesn't seem like we can even talk about the psychotropic drugs. Why is that? Why doesn't the media pursue that question? Without fear or favor, they like to say, well, maybe they're fearful of big sponsors and big pharma. Huh? Without fear or favor. They kept saying that the other night. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh, boy.
Don't get walking. Don't get lost. Hey. Walking will get lost.
What are you going to leave there?
The watch. See, I found it in the penguin game.
You found it where?
In a penguin game.
What is it again?
A penguin game.
And what did you find there?
A pebble.
Oh, a nice pebble?
Yeah.
Why did you like that pebble so much?
She found it. Because I found it.
Is it a nice pebble?
Yes.
Madeline?
What color is the pebble?
We don't want freckles on your nose.
Gray.
Gray. It was a gray pebble. I haven't heard the word pebble in a very long time. There's something I just haven't heard the word pebble all that much, but I heard pebble. Usually we say rock, stone. Anybody remember pebble from the Flintstones? An absolutely beautiful, beautiful thing. President Trump right now is in Michigan. You know, sometimes I wonder about these trips. You know, he goes there, makes a speech, comes back. Does it really make a difference? And I don't know. I don't know if it does. Get on the plane, you know, bring the whole gosh damn kit and caboodle, there. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not worried about the expense or anything like that. We've got the money. And by the way, a lot of these official visits by the president are privately funded. They have this formula. Like if he goes somewhere for a political mission, right, the RNC has to pick up a lot of that. And sometimes actually the family has to pay for a lot of things. Too many things in my book. But he can handle it. He's doing great. That doesn't get any credit for, by the way, not taking a salary. There's some heat on his family for making money. Well, the whole thing about the family, unlike the Bidens, they actually have a skill. They actually have a business. And the Bidens just had, hey, we're the Bidens. Give us stuff. And that brings me back to this quote from Jill. It's very interesting. Jill, again, lets the truth out inadvertently. So Jill Biden, the first lady, right, former first lady, yeah, as I said, her husband is in jail right now. Her ex-husband suspected of murder. I think he's being railroaded. We know what railroaded means. It's the process is kind of rigged against him every step of the way. No public release of the indictment, no public release of the autopsy, the 911. Bail is ludicrously high. Everybody involved in this case has a massive conflict of interest. Jill Biden herself is still seething over not getting a piece of Bill's bar business. He had a bar, Bill's Bar, the Stone Balloon in Wilmington in the 1970s. She didn't get any money, and she writes about how annoyed she was by that. But she says something in this thing very interesting. You ready? Okay. She swears that she's never going to be in this vulnerable financial position again. Right? She's telling young women and girls this. I couldn't very well preach independence for my whole life and then throw it out the window the second I was living in a fancy house because of my husband's position. Could I? It's that last line there. I was living in a fancy house because of my husband's position. Could I? My husband's position. My husband's position. Position. It's a public servant. Public servants aren't supposed to get fancy houses, but see, she just inadvertently told the truth. She didn't say because my husband was rich or my husband was making a good salary or, my husband worked. No, because of his position as a United States Senator. Are you kidding me? Automatically? From what I hear, senators, they bitch and moan about how little money they're making. Yet you get a fancy house. Once again, the truth comes out. I love it.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, I thought it was pretty disgusting the other night at that White House Correspondents' Dinner. Disgusting in that the narcissism of the press, right? Oh, they're so full of themselves. And they said, tonight is in honor of the First Amendment. We're going to honor. How do you honor a document, right? How do you honor? And the First Amendment, they have kind of like unfairly claimed that as their own. And by that I mean, like, there are a lot of other things mentioned in the First Amendment other than the press. They've got in there, what do they have in there? They got freedom of assembly. They got freedom of religion. Government, Congress shall pass no law restricting the press, right? But there's other things in there. But of course, they claim that for themselves. And they also say, without fear or favor, we just do straight news. No, you don't, pal. You don't. And you curry favor, and you are fearful all the time. Fearful, mostly for your jobs. So here's Wolf Blitzer, who is seething with self-righteousness, indignation, right? And he has had that perch, even though he's terrible at it. I mean, absolutely terrible. I got a little bit of an insight as to why he has the job, or had the job for as long as he did. Because he's was best buds with Ted Turner. Ted Turner did all of his contracts. Ted Turner, well-known eccentric, right? You get on the right side of, I don't know. I feel like that explains a lot. So he's there, and this is really something. He celebrates the Wall Street Journal for doing a fake news report of a birthday card that was given to Jeffrey Epstein in like 1993. And it's really, Carlos, you have that little thing with Wolf? This guy, Wolf Blitzer. How did he ever make it on television? Go ahead.
This year's award goes to the Wall Street Journal. The Journal's courageous reporting on President Trump's past relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein triggered the release of the so-called Epstein files, thousands of documents that might otherwise have remained hidden from the public. And despite the president's threat of a lawsuit, the Journal published a story about a provocative letter to Epstein bearing President Trump's signature. Trump quickly filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the Journal, revealing reporter Khadija Safdar's home address. Her family had to be relocated. The Journal was kicked off of Air Force One, but the reporters continue to file revelatory stories. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Wall Street Journal. Khadija Safdar, Sadie Gurman, Annie Linsky, Josh Dawsey again, Alex Leary, Rebecca Ballhaus, and Ryan Barber. Their colleague, Joe Palazzolo, could not attend tonight.
So it's kind of funny. What's pathetic is there's a lot of things going on there. It was a provocative letter. It was a birthday card, all right, in the 1990s. The thing that really damns them is 7 reporters. 7 reporters come up for this stupid award because they found a birthday card and they pretended it was from President Trump to a guy who was not a sex offender. Okay, you want to call that news? Great. You want to pretend you're brave? 7 people up there? 7 people? The family had to go underground because they were... Why? Why exactly? Oh, because of big bad MAGA? Anyway, 7 reporters, and guess what each of them do? They each go up to President Trump, shake his hand, he smiles at them, they smile back. See, the implication of this story is that, President Trump hangs around child molesters, right? That's what they want you to think. But the people who put that story together, they know it's not true. So, and what happens is that they give themselves away with the smile, that it's nothing, that it's meaningless. And I just think it's a remarkable moment where the truth actually comes out. They say the truth ultimately wins, and it did. Hey, what else is going on here? Hold on. Senator Lindsey Graham planned to travel to Florida in early March to persuade President Trump to join Israel in the bombing of Hezbollah in Lebanon until a friend talked him out of it. This is the friend, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, told him on a call before the trip that bringing the U.S. into the operation in the midst of the Iran war was going too far, too fast, according to unreleased footage from a documentary about the South Carolina Republican lawmaker that was being filmed before he died earlier this month. We're concentrating on Iran right now, Netanyahu said on the March 4th call, according to footage. If we tell Hezbollah that we're going all the way, we threaten them. But if we actually do it, then they have no reason not to go all the way against us. And right now, that's not our interest. That's actually good counsel, Graham replied. Huh. And in the Senate office, which was covered with Trump hats, scattered papers, and Planters peanuts, with a bottle of bourbon on the shelf. Yeah, that was the thing. He was a big drinker. I think a problem drinker, most likely. I didn't know this until after he died. He took to the phone late at night and made phone calls. That is something a person who drinks too much does. The extraordinary exchange was captured by the documentary filmmaker Alex Holder, who had been granted extensive access to Graham since 2023. It provides an unvarnished look at Graham's year-long quest to topple the Iranian regime and the ways in which he persuaded Trump to strike, at times pushing for an even more aggressive action than Netanyahu, who was prepared to take. Look what we've done here. I almost cried, he tells the crew, laughing loudly just after the U.S. strikes Iran in February. How long have we been pushing this? Okay. Well, people push for things all the time, especially in Congress. All right. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. One other little moment here. Frank Carone, former Adams aide, hires Luigi Mangioni's defense team in his bribery case. Okay. Luigi Mangione. How is that still kind of in limbo? Seems like it's in legal limbo, doesn't it? Carlos, from our phone lines, let's go ahead and check out what Neil has to say. Hi, Neil.
Hello, good afternoon, Ray. In the 70s...
Did you say Ray? Did you say Ray? Ray? I'm sorry, I heard Ray. My dad's middle name, my middle name is Ray for my dad, and often in the house, when my mom would yell Ray or Greg, we had trouble deciphering it, so I just thought I had Ray. Anyway, it's Greg Kelly. Neil, continue.
Greg. In the 70s, I used to work in a psychiatric unit for a psychiatric hospital. One day I was walking to lunch down a hallway. We used to share the same lunchroom with the patients, and I worked on a locked unit. And there was a patient walking towards us. I was walking towards him. This poor man was gay, and he didn't make any approaches. All of a sudden, this guy just attacked him. So we had to jump on top of him to stop him from doing what he was doing to this poor guy. This whole thing was brought to the attention of the psychiatrist, and this guy was a real crazy person, even though he was taking psychotropic drugs. So what happened in the end was, all of a sudden, every single Wednesday, we used to have a meeting. So the nurses, the aides, which I was the psychiatric aide, social workers, and psychiatrists. Psychiatrist wants to send this guy home for a weekend pass, and all of us said, do not do this. This guy is really out of his mind. And didn't listen to any of us. Sent this man home. He lived in Woodmere, Long Island. He robbed a 14-year-old's bicycle, and the kid says to him, what are you doing? The guy took a hunting knife, stabbed him to death. He almost cut his own hand off because he was hitting him with such veracity. And when it came to light, what happened, the psychiatrist cracked up, but he never listened to us. And this was actually in the news. Geraldo Rivera covered this story, and the patient's name was Roy Slutsky. You could look it up. This was in the 70s.
Yeah. Was it Meadowbrook or Creedmoor? Where the hell was it?
No, it was in a hospital in Queens, in a psychiatric hospital in
Roy
Queens.
Lutsky. Well, all right. So the bottom line is what?
The bottom line is that part of what's going on with these crazy people out there are the people that are in charge of them. Sometimes they really don't have any idea what's going on with these folks.
You know, you gave me the name of the crazy person. I'm almost more interested in the doctor who let him go. Do you remember that doctor's name?
Oh goodness, I see his face. I can't remember.
Roy Lutsky, huh? Roy Lutsky.
With an S, Lutsky.
Lutsky. All right, I'm going to look it up. Roy Lutsky. Thank you for that. All right. Well, fascinating story. Sounds a little bit like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you know, that meeting with the nurses and everybody? Yeah.
He wouldn't listen.
He wouldn't listen. You got to listen. Listen to the guys who work with them every day. Sometimes those doctors can be so snooty. Thank you, sir, very much. Let's see, who else is there? Julie, how are you?
Good, Greg. I'm just wondering, has anybody spoken to to Stevenson's stepdaughter? What does she have to say about it?
Oh, we don't like her. She's a nut job. She, I mean, I don't know. Like, let's face it, stepdaughter, stepdad, they didn't get along, and she doesn't like Bill. So, yeah, she's not helpful in any of this. And you know what? It doesn't matter. She doesn't know anything. You know what I mean? She didn't live there. She wasn't a witness. But from what I hear, she's a real pain in the neck. Sorry that she lost her mom and all, but I don't think it was Bill's fault. But, she doesn't know anything. And she has not been helpful. So I do know about that, and I know she's not been helpful. In fact, she's been the opposite of helpful. All right, Julie?
All right, thanks.
All right, you bet. Let's just try Dave real quick. Dave, how are you?
Hi, Greg. You have all these heavy-duty subjects, but I'm going back to Pebbles and Bam Bam. You mentioned that. This is for your daughters. I'm a grandfather. Anyway, on YouTube, they have Pebbles and Bam Bam with the singing the song "The Sunshine" in. Let your kids listen to that. It's a good God-fearing thing too.
Okay, yeah. Pebbles was Fred's daughter, and Bam Bam was Barney's daughter. Remember, like Bam Bam had like superhuman strength, right?
Yeah, but they do like singing. They have like a band there. You'll see it. You'll see it.
All right, that's cute. That's cute. I mean, yeah, they're into the cartoons. They are definitely into the cartoons. All right, one more before we go to break. We got Italo. What the hell's? Who are you? It says Italo. Is that a name?
Italo.
Who? Ito?
Italo. Hi, Greg.
Hi. What's up?
I'm in Westchester now, so I'm calling you really briefly. You know that the jury pool derives from the voter rolls?
The jury pool derives from the voter? Is that what you say?
Rolls, yes.
Huh.
So now imagine those illegals voting, right? Registered said to vote and also call for jury duty?
Jury duty. You know what? I must say I've never really thought about this. Can a foreigner on a green card, let's say, be on jury duty? You don't have to be a citizen to join the army. Did you know that?
Absolutely not, but that's besides the point. What I'm telling you is that they think that they are already Americans, citizens, while you are in the voter roll.
Yeah, and that's where they get it from. They're supposed to be citizens, I would assume. That's very interesting. Very interesting. How did you know that?
See, or even a legal resident sitting on the jury. And
yeah, it's got to be a jury of your peers. It's in the Constitution. A jury of your peers, and your peers have to be citizens, and so that's interesting. Real quick, do you know? Anyway, Italo, that's very interesting. Let me check into that. I did not know. Or I guess I just never thought of it. I was only on jury duty once, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well. The guy said it was voir dire. You know that part where they ask you questions to figure out which way your sympathies may go, and it was a worker compensation case, and a guy was using heavy machinery, and he lost his finger, like one or two of his fingers. And he sued the company. And so the lawyer asked me, can you envision any case, any way this man does not get money? And I said, no. And they were like, the whole room was shocked. And it's like, what if it was his fault? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, still, I think he deserves some money. But even if it was his fault, if he didn't follow the instructions, I'm like, yeah, he deserves money. How can you possibly say that? I said, look, he showed up to work with 5 fingers. He went home with 3. That man deserves some money. And they threw me out. They threw me out just like that. I was being honest. I swore an oath that I would be honest. Italo, thank you. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. I have been reading. I have committed once again to reading more from the Bible. And everybody's got a weakness. Everybody's got something that they probably shouldn't be doing. And I have been reading from Judges in the Old Testament. And let's just say it's helpful. It's very helpful. And you can see what, not correcting these weaknesses can lead to if you're not careful. All right? We are flirting with disaster. Some of us, all right? And it's all correctable. It's all fixable if you turn it over to him, capital H. And, I told you about, maybe I didn't, maybe you heard, maybe you didn't, but I had yet another prayer experience where a prayer was answered like in the moment. And it was just incredible. And it was a fairly benign matter, but the power of prayer is real. It's real. Now, sometimes it won't happen right away. Sometimes he doesn't want to, for whatever reason. But every now and then he reaches out and touches me in such a big, big way. And possibly I shouldn't be so amazed by it because I do believe. And if I believe, and I believe in the power of prayer, and a prayer is answered, why am I amazed by that? I can't help it. I still am, I guess, do we ever have doubt? It does seep in sometimes. It does. And when a prayer is answered, it's like, wow, it really is. He's there. It's it's real. But I know it's real. Anyway, sometimes when you feel it in your gut and you see it displayed, it's so incredible. One that I like to point out to people, I had a big argument with my friend Pete. And we argued about the Central Park Five, as a matter of fact. And, I know those guys are guilty. And he's like, no, they were the victims of racial injustice. And it got very heated. And he said some bad, awful things and hung up on me. And my wife said, you need to apologize to him. I said, it wasn't my fault. No, you need to apologize to him. I'm like, all right. So I texted him apology. I apologize. And he didn't write back. And many, many, many months later, I'm reading the Bible one day, and I'm reading something really good. I'm like, wow, this is speaking to me right now. This is speaking to me. Sometimes when I'm reading in the Bible, I don't even, know necessarily what I'm reading. I had to go back a couple of pages and say, what am I reading? What chapter is this? And I'm like, ooh, and it's Peter, the epistle from Peter. And then with that, my phone goes off. Click, click. Pete, my friend. Hey, I'm sorry, Greg. I should have not said that, and thanks for reaching out. I should have written it. That's from God. That's a little. And the other thing, when my daughter wanted to know, is that a chicken? Is that a chicken in the car ahead of us? And I couldn't catch up. And then she just spontaneously prayed to God to find out what kind of bird it was. And I said, well, how are we going to know, Daddy? He's not saying anything. I said, well, let's look for a sign. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I couldn't see anything. And I had to remind myself, it doesn't work that way. You don't, But sure enough, we pulled up to where we were going, and there was a great big beautiful mural of a white dove, which is what that bird was. It was no chicken. It was a white dove. And he answered our prayers, and he will answer yours and mine.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?